Good morning, dear listeners, both near and far, Malabites and Malabarsis. Welcome to another exciting edition on UNICAL Radio 103.5 FM, the only radio station that offers you education, information, and of course, entertainment 360. You are tuned into a very special episode of our UNICAL at 50 interview series, a tribute to the brilliant minds and remarkable individuals who have shaped the story of our great institution over the past 5 decades. Today, we are especially honored to be joined by a distinguished scholar, an inspiring educator, and a respected voice in the realms of education, policy, and community development. His impact has extended well beyond the walls of academia, touching lives and influencing change across Nigeria and beyond. But before we dive into this conversation, stay tuned as we share his impressive biography, a testament of a life of service, scholarship, and leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound pleasure to welcome Professor Emmanuel Etta Ekuri, Director of Institute of Education at the University of Calabar. This is UNICAL 103.5 FM. Professor Ekuri, you're welcome to UNICAL 103.5 FM. How are you feeling this morning, Professor?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Okay.
I'm grateful for this opportunity to reflect on the journey of our great institution, the University of Calabar, particularly as we mark this significant Golden Jubilee.
That was a wonderful biography that we read out there for you. That's something you've accumulated after years and years of experience and acquiring so much knowledge. So you work here at UNICAL as Director of Education.
I work here as the director. Presently, I am a professor in educational evaluation. I teach in the Department of Educational Psychology.
Wonderful.
Currently, I'm the director of the Institute of Education, overseeing the Institute of Education.
A psychologist in our midst. Oh, thank you very much, sir. So over the years, UNICAL have grown significantly in terms of academic and infrastructure. What were the early days like here at the university, particularly in your area of expertise, like you have mentioned earlier?
Well, the early days at UNICAL, at the University of Calabar, were indeed formative. At that time, we were pioneering not just academic content, but also the institutional culture and infrastructure that would support future generations. In my field particularly, which is educational evaluation and research, there was a strong sense of purpose and urgency. We're laying down systems and methodologies, often with limited resources, but immense dedication. Despite the challenges, there was a brilliant spirit of collaboration, brilliant spirit of creativity, brilliant spirit of commitment to excellence. Watching UNICAL evolve over the years from those humble beginnings to a center of academic excellence and influence has been nothing short of inspiring. It has been inspiring indeed.
Speaking of inspiring, Professor Ekuri, your academic and professional journey has been nothing short of inspiring, I must commend. You're pioneering innovative programs and the rest. So to influencing national education policy and leading community peace-building initiative, your legacy spans education, leadership, and social impact. Could you take us back to the beginning, your early education, your university experience, and the steps that you followed?
Well, my journey in academic began with a passion for learning and a belief in the transformative power of education. With education, you can go places. Education rules nations. Education rules the world. Education has to do with ideas, a world of ideas. My education instilled in me discipline and curiosity. I pursued studies that align with my interests in measuring education outcomes and improving teaching and learning processes. That naturally led me to study educational evaluation and research.
Okay, sir. You made mention of what led you to study educational evaluation and research.
Yes.
So will you tell us what inspired you to become a teacher? Because I know in this present day, students don't just wake up and be like, we want to be teachers or we want to be professors. So other persons want to be doctors, nurses, lawyers. What inspired you to be a teacher?
Thank you so much. What truly inspired my multifaceted career path was the understanding that education goes beyond the classroom. And in fact, it's a force for nation building and social progress. However, I came from a very humble from a very humble background.
Okay.
My parents were farmers. I grew up in the plantation. But my father had passion for education. He felt I should go beyond where he was able to actualize. So that with that passion, he encouraged me, he motivated me to pursue the path of education, to pursue the path of learning. And I had an uncle, my late uncle, Sir Patrick Oji Ekuri.
Okay.
He had so much passion for education. He was well schooled, well educated. Then he was a superintendent of education in our local area. When once he's on holiday, he comes around and have motivational discussions with me, encourage me to pursue the path of education. That there's nothing as important as education. There's nothing as greater than education. That with education, you can rule the world. Because with education, you can generate wonderful ideas. One defining moment was when I had the opportunity to lead curriculum reforms that align academic programs with national development goals. Another turning point was my involvement in peace-building initiatives, which taught me the value of applying academic knowledge to be able to resolve problems of society.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. You're redefining moments and turning points that shaped your enduring passion for education.
Sure.
So, if you had not picked teaching as a profession, what else would you have done? What other profession would you have ventured into?
Well, I enjoyed going to farm. I enjoyed farming.
Okay.
And going to farm was a passion for me. It was
given that you grew up in the farm.
I grew up in the farm. I grew up in the plantation, and even till now, I still go to farm.
Okay.
I still go to farm. I have farms, and I go to farm, and I'm after retirement. I will continue into agriculture.
Wonderful. So if you had not got into
at a
teaching
modern perspective, yes.
More modernized,
Yes.
more with the whole technology and everything. So if you had not gone into teaching as a profession, you would consider being a big farmer.
Sure.
Well, agriculture is like the bone and the backbone of every nation. So over the years, you have been closely involved with UNICAL. How have you been, or have you seen the university evolve, particularly in terms of its academic programs, research, and the impact?
Well, over the years, I have witnessed UNICAL expand in ways that have been both impressive and encouraging. We have grown in academic progress, in research, in culture, and in global engagement. Within the Institute of Education, for example, we have moved from traditional approaches to incorporating technology, policy-relevant research, and international collaborations. What is most heartening is how the university continues to produce graduates that are not only academically sound, but socially conscious. In the Institute of Education, recently, we have commenced so many programs, interdisciplinary programs, in program evaluation, in leadership education, in managerial psychology.
Okay.
This is the expansion
That's a lot that have been added to
it, and that has also enhanced the enrollment and is going to boost internally generated revenue to the university in the days ahead.
Well, that's just wonderful. I mean, given that the university is clocking 50,
yes,
and then with all these added departments to the system, added department under the Faculty of Education, you made mention of psychology, you made mention of research and the rest. So, as UNICAL marks its 50th anniversary, what reflections do you have on the university's journey?
Well, as UNICAL marks 50 years, I feel a deep sense of pride and gratitude.
Wonderful.
This anniversary is a testament of resilience, innovation, and collective effort of faculty, students, alumni, and administrators. It is also a time to project forward, to think about the next 50 years. For the current and future generations of students, this is their moment to connect with the rich legacy and help build the future with integrity, with courage, with creativity. I hope that the enduring legacy of the University of Calabar will be one of academic excellence, societal relevance, and global visibility. That is my earnest hope.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. That was very endearing. That was very inspiring.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, right here in the studio, UNICAL 103.5 FM, we have with us Professor Emmanuel Etta Ekuri, the President Director at the Faculty of Education. We will be back to continue this interview. I will leave you with Heal the World by Michael Jackson. Education heals the world. Education stands in to uplift the world. Do enjoy this song and don't touch that dial. 58 minutes past the hour of 10. If you have just tuned in, that was Heal the World by Michael Jackson. This is UNICAL 103.5 FM, and we are having a special interview edition with Professor Emmanuel Etta Ekuri, the Director of Education, University of Calabar. Good afternoon. Oh, good morning, Prof. It is still morning.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good.
Welcome back from the very short break.
Thank you.
So far so good since you're under the Faculty of Education. How do you enjoy teaching as a profession?
Well, teaching is a great deal. I enjoy teaching because I have opportunity of imparting knowledge, of sharing knowledge, and also imparting skills.
What qualities do you think make a good teacher? Since you're talking about impacting skills in students, that means, okay, as a teacher, what qualities do you impact?
Well,
do you make as a good teacher?
Values. You impart values.
Okay.
You impart values because you are a role model, and as a role model, students would want you are there to motivate the students to be able to take to teaching, because especially these days that many people are not very really keen or interested in teaching. But as a role model, they see you motivate them, you encourage them, you teach values, you transfer values to the students.
So that's one of like the core qualities of being a good teacher.
That's it.
So you have been a teacher for like how many years now?
I've been a teacher for over 2 decades, close to 3 decades.
Wow, that's over like 30 years.
Yes.
So how do you stay updated with the new trends in education, considering the fact that you have been in the field for 3 decades, that's 30 years. So how do you cope with this?
Well, coping is to embrace change.
Okay.
And embrace change in the present dispensation. Technology is the in thing, and so we have to adapt to new technology, new ways of doing things. Technology is the key.
Technology is indeed the key.
Is the key.
Not like the key, but do you advise students to embrace the new technology, use of AI during
AI
classes?
Sure, there's nothing wrong using AI, but you need to use AI with some kind of ethics.
Okay.
Yes, some kind of ethics, and everything has to be moderated. In fact, that is why there's a lot of training going on, online trainings on AI and how these can be integrated in teaching and learning.
So, speaking of the online trainings that are going on, so what are the challenges you think the education system is facing with the whole online training and every other thing?
Well, in online training, the greatest advantage of this online training is the fact that your education is brought to your doorstep. You are retail education.
Okay.
From your bedroom, you can access education because there's increased access to education. And the greatest challenge has to do with infrastructure, having the infrastructure to support the online training. And then because you need infrastructure not only to transmit knowledge, not only to share knowledge, but also to be able to market these programs aggressively.
Wonderful.
Yes.
We need infrastructure to market these programs aggressively. That means education should get to all the ends of the edge using technology. Like everybody must stay up to date, must be educated.
Sure.
So how do you support students who are struggling in class? Since you want most of them that cannot afford this infrastructure or cannot afford the whole technological advancement that have been inculcated into education, how do you assist the student? How do you support them?
Well, today having a handset is not a very, very serious deal, and virtually every student has a handset. But however, technology or no technology, we still do our best to have the physical classroom mode where we interact visibly and then interact one-on-one, share knowledge, give them assignments, and do the needful.
So they can do the needful.
Sure.
Wonderful. So in your whole 30 years of teaching, have you you have also taught in secondary schools, I presume?
Well, I have just 1 year of secondary school teaching experience.
Okay.
Just 1 year of secondary school teaching experience, and about 7 years of teaching at the College of Education level. The rest of my teaching has been in the university.
So
since 1998.
Oh, since 1998.
Yes.
That is wonderful. So what are the biggest difference? Although you said you just had like 1 year experience in lecturing in secondary school, what are the biggest difference between teaching in secondary school and at the university level?
Well, teaching in the university level, there's It's quite exciting, interesting, but you have a greater responsibility, having opportunity to do research and to use the evidence of your research to improve the teaching and learning. But at the secondary school level, fundamentally, what they do is to share knowledge, and also the element of research is not very much visible at that level. And beside that, there's a great challenge dealing with adolescents at that level, because a greater proportion of them are adolescents and are just entering adolescence, and sometimes they can be very difficult to handle.
Speaking of adolescents, we have prospective students who wants to come into the University of Calabar. So, as someone who have experienced the growth and development of University of Calabar, what advice will you give to the current and prospective students, and how can they make the most of their time at UNICAL and contribute to the institution's ongoing success?
Well, for me, I would say that my advice is quite simple and profound.
Okay.
Students need to take ownership of their journey, their academic journey. They have to make good use of their time, make sure their time counts. They have to be active in their learning, engage in service, build networks, and never stop asking questions.
Okay.
And of course, they have to ensure that their stay in the university be a period of growth in knowledge, growth in wisdom, and growth in character. And of course, they should remember that success is not only about personal advancement, it is also about contributing meaningfully to the success of others.
Speaking of success, speaking of growth, thank you very much, Prof Ekuri. You sound like a very well-educated man. Thank you for sharing your wisdom to our fellow listeners. So finally, Prof Ekuri, what message would you like to leave to our dear listeners, especially the young generation of UNICAL students who will go on to shape the university's future legacy?
Well, as I close this meeting, I want to leave this message with our young listeners, who are mostly our students, that our students are the next chapter in University of Calabar's story. They should write well, be whole, be curious, and be kind. The university has given you students a platform. Now you should arise and build. It's a time to build. They need to be courageous. They need to show great commitment and a heart of service, and that can shape a legacy that outlives them.
Thank you very much, sir. What an enlightening conversation we've had today. Today's discussion has taken us through the incredible journey of a trailblazer, Professor Emmanuel Etta Ekuri. Thank you so much, Prof Ekuri, for joining us and for generously sharing your inspiring story from journey continues to light the path for future generation. As we celebrate UNICAL at 50, your life's work reminds us that not only where we have come from, but also of the bright future that lies ahead. We are deeply grateful for your unwavering dedication to education and to the University of Calabar. Your legacy, sir, is a testament to the power of perseverance, passion, and purpose. A big thank you to the entire UNICAL Radio International team for making this special edition a success. Remember, this conversation doesn't end here. Follow us on all social media platforms. On Instagram, we are UNICAL Rain. On TikTok, we are UNICAL Radio International. On Facebook, we are UNICAL Radio International. Until next time, remember to keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for excellence. This is UNICAL Radio International 102.5 FM. The radio station that offers you education, information, and of course, entertainment 360. My name is Ake Onwada.